Hi there, my name is Alex. I am one of the naturalists at Okeeheelee Nature Center, as well as a certified yoga instructor. This is Oliver. He is our eastern screech owl and my yoga assistant for the day. So today we've got a beautiful, rainy, thundery day. Figured we'd do some relaxing, restorative yoga. So especially in our fast-paced world, we rarely take time to relax, to slow down. Even a lot of the yoga classes that are offered are focused more on, physical exercise, which is great, but there always needs to be a balance, right? So restorative yoga uses a lot of props to support the body so that the focus can shift from the physical aspects of yoga to more of the internal process of kind of slowing down and being in the present moment. Common props include bolsters, blankets, blocks, but if you don't have those things at home, instead of a bolster you could use a pillow or a cushion. Hopefully you have a blanket at home, even though this is Florida. And for blocks you can use nice thick books. We have our aquatic and wetland plants book. These are really nice for blocks. But whatever you can find in your house, I'm sure will work. So restorative yoga may seem like a lot of really nice fancy napping poses, but it does actually have an impact on the body. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which controls our digestion, our healing, our rest in our body. So these are 3 things we could probably use a lot of right now, especially in this day and age. So I urge you to really take your relaxation seriously today. You can turn down the lights, you can light some incense or some candles, maybe make yourself a cup of tea, and then when you're ready, join us for a nice, relaxing, restorative yoga class. So we're going to begin in easy pose just for a few breaths to kind of get ourselves settled into the present moment. So you're welcome to either just sit on your mat, or if you want to take your blanket, you can fold it about, in half or 3 times, however thick you want it, to just kind of support your sit bones a little bit. You want to come up just a little so that it's tilting that pelvis forward. So from here, you can allow your hands to drop into your lap or on your knees, and we'll gently close our eyes. Just take a couple of deep breaths here, in through the nose and out through the nose. This is your opportunity to gently release any worries or thoughts about the future and allow the mind to settle into the present moment. One more deep breath in and out. You can gently open your eyes, and we will come into our first pose, which is going to be our supported child's pose. So you're going to need your bolster or your pillow, whatever you have available. You're going to set that long ways on your mat, and then you're going to take your blanket, unfold it if you folded it kind of thickly, and we're just going to roll it, not all the way because we don't want the roll to be too fat, but this is going to support our ankles. And it does take a little bit of time to come into each of these poses since you have to set the props up, but it is so worth it. So you want that bolster to be right between the knees. You can gently walk the hands, lining up the body so that you're coming out on that bolster, and gently rest that chin down. Give yourself a second to sink in, get nice and comfy. We'll be here for about 3 minutes. We're going to hold each of these poses for 3 minutes, but if there is one that you find that you really like and you want to stay in for longer, you are always welcome to just pause the video and you can rejoin us when you're ready. This is all about what you personally need to feel relaxed. You can go ahead if you want to switch that cheek to the other side. So very slowly you can begin to walk those hands back towards your knees, gently bringing yourself out of child's pose. And then we're going to go ahead and set up for the next pose. So the next pose that we're going to come into is a supported twist. So you can leave that bolster just where it is. And we're going to come and bring our right hip kind of up close to the edge of that bolster. You can let the legs come out behind you, kind of like a seated pose here. And the very basic incarnation of this pose is just you're going to walk your hands out and take a nice seated twist. However, if that's a little bit of a deep twist for you, you can use your blocks or your books to prop up that the edge of that bolster. You can do one or you can do two. Whatever feels good for you. And another option that you can do as well is to take either your blanket or a pillow and kind of just rest it between the knees. And we'll stay on this side for 3 minutes and then we'll switch sides. Even a very gentle twist like this one is still really good for releasing tension, releasing stress in the body. And And if you do catch your mind wandering or getting tangled up in thoughts of what you're going to do after yoga, what you're going to have for dinner tonight, that's totally natural. Just take a deep breath and allow the mind to come back to the present moment. So very gently begin to walk those hands back towards the body. Gently push yourself up off the bolster. And we're just going to switch sides. So you'll be drawing your left hip to the bolster and turning your body to the other direction. And we'll be here for 3 minutes. Gently taking your time, you can begin to walk the hands back towards the hips. You can set aside your blanket. Take down if you had your bolster up on blocks or books, you can go ahead and get those out of the way. And then we'll move into our next pose, which is going to be our supported bridge pose. Alright guys, so next we're going to move into our supported bridge pose. But before we do that, just take a second to check in with yourself, see how you're feeling, make sure everything is feeling good. Oliver, how are you feeling? You nice and relaxed? I think so. So, to move into our bridge pose, we're going to actually push that bolster down towards the end of the mat to go under our knees. And we're going to take that blanket, and we have to unfold it a little bit. And we want it resting kind of over the thighs and the hips and hanging over the side. That'll bring some grounding and some downward energy to the pose. So from here, we're going to lie back on the mat and pressing down into the feet to lift the hips. We're going to draw that bolster. You can also use either, if you want to use a pillow, that works. If the pillow, your home pillow is not, thick enough, you can also use blocks or books stacked on top of each other. I would just recommend putting a blanket over the top so that the edges don't poke into you. But however you choose to support that low back. This is going to be our bridge pose, feet grounded to the earth, and we'll be here for 3 minutes. You could also use a blanket or a pillow under the head if that feels good to you, or even under the neck rolled up. At any point the low back starts to feel uncomfortable, I'd recommend trying to slide the bolster or the blocks a little bit farther up the back. And if that doesn't help, you are always free to bring the hips down to the floor. Take a moment to ground down into the feet. And press down to lift the hips up, and we'll just slide the bolster or the blocks out of the way and lower the hips down. You can turn onto your side and gently push yourself back up. We'll come into our reclining goddess pose. So again, we want that bolster to kind of go long ways on the mat. We'll keep this blanket right here, this nice grounding blanket. But first, I'm just going to show you the leg position. You can take the feet together, and if you want to use your blocks or your books to support the knees, that can be really nice. When we stay in this pose for a long time, sometimes it can be a little rough on the knees or on the hips as well. Bring our blanket back. And just like we did with the twist pose, if you want to put blocks or books underneath the bolster to kind of give you a little bit of an incline, you're welcome to. Make sure that bolster is nice up against the low back, and we'll slowly lower ourselves down. You can drop the hands to the side, you can bring them to the belly, you can do one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly, whatever feels good for you. But again, we're going to be here for 3 minutes. You want to make sure your spine is nice and aligned with your bolster or your pillow. That allows the chest to open and the shoulders to kind of melt over the sides of the bolster. And again, if this pose feels like a lot, especially in the hips or the knees, you can always extend the legs out. Deep breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. And bring your palms to the earth and gently walk yourself back up to a seated position. So we're going to come into our final pose. It's going to be our Shavasana pose. So we're going to bring the bolster down under the knees. And you can bring that blanket all the way on top. Tuck yourself in. And you guys can stay here for as long as you're ready, or as long as you need to. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and I hope you feel relaxed.